At first glance, they seem ordinary, simple clips of people going about their lives, smiling, talking, or performing. But beneath the surface, these harmless videos hide chilling truths. A firefighter heroically recounting his efforts to save lives, a singer giving his final performance, or a family enjoying a day out until tragedy strikes. What you're about to see are 4 videos that appear innocent but conceal dark and unsettling backstories. Let's begin. The mysterious murder of Kara N. On December 29, 1986, NBC 7 San Diego aired a segment on highway safety, offering useful tips on what to do in case of a breakdown.
If your car should become disabled, the rule of thumb is stay inside. There are signs you can get to put on the back window to summon for help. If strangers should offer assistance, tell them to call police or the CHP.
Just stay in the vehicle, lock all the doors, turn on the emergency flashers, and wait for help to come. Even if you have to wait all night, it's better to be in the safety of your vehicle and spend the night than to try to walk and get assistance.
The segment, aimed at promoting safe practices, included advice from California Highway Patrol Officer Craig Pye, who emphasized the importance of staying inside the vehicle if stranded and waiting for help.
Anything could happen. Being a female, you could be robbed if you're a male, all the way to where you could be killed. Once you get in that other person's car, you're at their mercy.
He highlighted that leaving your car could lead to dangers such as robbery or even worse. It was a common safety message that many people might have brushed off, not knowing how chillingly relevant it would soon become. This broadcast was, in fact, aired in response to a brutal crime that had occurred just 2 days prior.
The bottom line, though, is that preventing all this trouble is easy. Be sure your car works, and as simple as it sounds, be sure you've got gas. Because even if you're lucky enough to get some, you still may be taking your life in your own hands.
Do you realize how dangerous it is?
Yes, I realize. In fact, I was putting the gas in, and an 18-wheeler came by and almost blew me away. Truthfully.
On December 27, 1986, 20-year-old Kara N., an honors student at San Diego State University, disappeared without a trace after leaving her boyfriend, Wayne Batista's house. Wayne had been suffering from the flu, and Kara had stayed with him to care for him over Christmas. She called her father around 8 p.m. to inform him that she was heading home, but 2 hours later, when she hadn't arrived, her parents became concerned. Her father, Sam, went to Wayne's house to search for her, but Wayne told him that she had left earlier. After driving around for hours, searching the route she should have taken, they still found no sign of Kara. At 5:15 a.m. the next morning, her family found Kara's white Volkswagen Beetle near an abandoned exit ramp on I-15. The car's driver's side window was halfway down, the keys were still in the ignition, and all of Kara's belongings were in the car, except for Kara herself. The discovery led to a search of the surrounding area. Unfortunately, it wasn't until the body of Kara was found 70 feet below a nearby bridge that the investigation started to take a clearer shape. A medical examination of her body revealed rope burns around her neck, indicating strangulation. There was also a mysterious round injury above her eye. Despite these injuries, there were no signs of sexual assault or robbery. The absence of any definitive clues made it difficult for investigators to identify a motive. The main lead initially pointed to her boyfriend, Wayne, who was the last person to see her alive. However, he was soon cleared as a suspect after it was confirmed that he was at home with the flu when the crime occurred. Investigators then turned their attention to a Chevron gas station 15 miles from the crime scene, where Kara was believed to have stopped for gas. Unfortunately, questioning the gas station employees yielded no new leads. Desperate for answers, the police turned to the media. They aired a segment on highway safety with Officer Craig Pye, hoping to generate public awareness about Kara's disappearance. The broadcast seemed to strike a nerve as the hotline flooded with calls from women who claimed to have been stopped by an officer and asked to drive down the same deserted Mercy Road exit in the past. The officer they were referring to was none other than Craig Pye, the very man who had appeared on TV offering safety tips. When questioned, Pai tried to defend himself by showing his logbook, which indicated that he was miles away from the crime scene at the time of the incident. However, investigators quickly discovered that the logbook had been altered. Pai's involvement was soon undeniable when further evidence emerged. A yellow rope matching the size of the rope burns on Kara's neck, a flashlight matching the wound on her face, and a golden fiber that matched the patch on his uniform. The final piece of the puzzle came from witness testimony from over 24 women who had been pulled over by Pai on the same stretch of road. These women revealed that he had frequently stopped them and even invited them into his car. Based on this information, investigators pieced together a chilling theory. Pai had pulled over Kara that night and, when she resisted or threatened to report him, he became violent. After strangling her, he drove her body to the bridge and threw her off to cover his tracks. On January 16, 1987, Pai was arrested and later sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. Despite applying for parole twice, his requests were rejected. Kara's tragic death might have remained unsolved had it not been for the media exposure that led to the discovery of Pai's disturbing past. The talking parrot that solved a murder. On June 2, 2016, a seemingly innocent video of a talking parrot went viral. Christina Kellen posted a video of her pet parrot named Bud mimicking human speech. To most, it was a cute and entertaining clip, but for investigators, it became the key to solving a year-long murder mystery. The story began on May 12, 2015, when gunshots were heard coming from the house of 46-year-old Marty Durham and his wife Glenn in Lake Michigan. At first, their neighbor Connie thought nothing of it, as Marty frequently went hunting. However, when Marty stopped responding to calls or messages, Connie grew concerned. She and her husband Keith went to check on the couple and found the front door unlocked. Inside, they discovered that the house had been ransacked, and in the bedroom they found Marty and Glenn lying on the floor covered in blood. Marty had been shot 5 times and was dead at the scene, but miraculously, Glenn, who had a bullet wound behind her ear, was still alive. She was rushed to the hospital, and doctors were able to save her life. The authorities initially suspected a robbery gone wrong, but when they searched the house, they found a Ruger revolver and several spent cartridges, which seemed to indicate the weapon used in the crime, yet they couldn't figure out who the intruder might have been. The investigation took an unexpected turn when they uncovered some strange clues. Glenn's phone records revealed that she had searched online for information on a Ruger revolver the day before the murder. Additionally, investigators found 3 letters written by Glenn, apologizing to her children and expressing regret. But Glenn had no memory of these letters or the shooting, and police found no solid evidence to connect her to the crime. Then, in June of 2016, Bud the parrot became the unlikely witness that would crack the case. The African gray parrot, which had belonged to Marty, had been in the house during the shooting. These parrots are known for their intelligence and ability to mimic human speech, often repeating phrases they overhear in high-stress situations. Christina, the parrot's new owner, noticed that Bud was frequently squawking and repeating phrases at night.
Probably about a month or so after Bud got here, I would hear him scream and squawk, and it would happen a lot at nighttime. But then one day, literally, he just kept going over and over again, the same and it sounded like 2 different voices. And I was just so freaked out that I took it upon myself to record it.
One day, she recorded the bird, and what she heard sent chills down her spine. The parrot was clearly repeating an argument between Glenn and Marty. The words, "shut up" and "put the gun down" were clearly audible in the recording.
Shut
While a parrot's testimony wouldn't hold up in court, the recording gave investigators the confidence to focus more on Glenn as the suspect. DNA found on the murder weapon matched Glenn's, and after further interrogation, Glenn admitted the truth. She had been gambling away the money Marty had earned from selling prescription drugs and had lied about paying the mortgage. When Marty discovered this, Glenn shot him and staged the scene to look like a robbery gone wrong. She had even planned to take her own life, but was stopped when she survived the shooting. On June 24, 2016, Glenn was arrested and later sentenced to life in prison for the murder of her husband Marty. Thanks to the unexpected help from a talking parrot, the truth was finally uncovered after a year of investigation. The tragic nursing home fire and Roger Dean's dark secret. On November 18, 2011, at precisely 4:35 a.m., Sydney Fire and Rescue Services rushed to the Quakers Hill nursing home in response to an automated fire alarm. By the time they arrived, the fire had already spread across the facility, consuming entire sections of the building in its relentless. Should have been a routine emergency response quickly turned into a full-scale tragedy. The nursing home housed elderly residents, many of whom suffered from severe dementia and were bedridden, leaving them utterly helpless as flames closed in. News outlets wasted no time in covering the horrifying event, conducting interviews with those involved in the rescue efforts. Among those interviewed was Roger Dean, a nurse who had been on duty when the fire erupted. His words during a televised interview portrayed him as a selfless hero. "Hi, I'm Roger. I'm one of the nurses, and, there was a fire. I just quickly did what I could to get everyone out. The smoke was just overwhelming, but, we got a lot of people out, so that's the main thing." His statement seemed sincere, painting the picture of a medical professional caught in the chaos of a disaster. However, the truth was far more sinister than anyone could have imagined. The fire burned so intensely that even firefighters, fully equipped with protective gear, struggled to get near the inferno. The situation was made even worse by the location of the fire, one of the main wards housing bedridden dementia patients. Their cries for help could be heard from outside the burning building, but the flames and heat made it nearly impossible for rescuers to reach them in time. Still, through immense effort, emergency responders managed to evacuate over 100 residents to safety. Roger Dean, however, had something else on his mind that morning. Instead of assisting with evacuations, he attempted to re-enter the burning building, claiming he needed to retrieve vital medication records. Firefighters stopped him, unaware that his true intentions were far from noble. As investigations unfolded, a chilling truth came to light. Roger Dean was the one who had started the fire. His motive? A desperate attempt to cover up his theft of prescription medication. Just a day before the fire, security cameras recorded him accessing the medication storage room a staggering 36 times in one shift. Over time, he had stolen hundreds of prescription pills, feeding a growing addiction. Unfortunately for him, fellow staff members had started noticing the missing medications and reported their suspicions to the authorities. Knowing that police were closing in, Roger hatched a horrific plan. He would destroy the records before investigators could link him to the theft. That morning, amid the chaos, he successfully executed his plan, but the price of his actions was devastating. 11 elderly residents perished in the fire. Unable to escape the flames he had deliberately ignited. After his arrest, Roger provided a bizarre and unsettling justification for his crime.
It was like Satan saying to me that it's the right thing to do.
He claimed, "Satan told me it was the right thing to do." However, investigators quickly dismissed his excuse. There was no demonic influence, just a desperate man willing to commit mass murder to cover up his crimes. Adding to the horror, security footage surfaced, showing Dean calmly watching the nursing home burn, appearing disturbingly pleased with his work. The interview that once portrayed him as a hero now took on a sinister tone, an arsonist masquerading as a savior. The mysterious murder of Chalino Sanchez. On May 16, 1992, Mexican singer-songwriter Chalino Sanchez delivered what would later be known as his most memorable and final performance. His voice carried through the arena as fans cheered, oblivious to the dark fate awaiting him. Chalino's life had been anything but ordinary. Born in 1960 in the impoverished region of Sinaloa, Mexico, he was exposed early to the harsh realities of his homeland. Wealthy, powerful figures controlled the region, often acting without consequence. Tragedy struck when his sister was assaulted by a local thug named El Chapo Perez. At just 15, Chalino sought vengeance. Spotting El Chapo at a party, he wasted no time. He approached, drew his gun, and killed him at point-blank range. Forced to flee, Chalino escaped to Tijuana and then crossed into the United States, building a new life. He and his brother entered the business of smuggling immigrants across the border. However, in 1984, his brother was murdered in a hotel in Tijuana, a loss that left a deep scar. To cope, Chalino turned to music, writing songs about his life, songs that spoke openly of crime, violence, and the struggles of the underworld. These songs, known as narco corridos, became anthems for many in Mexico. His fame skyrocketed, but so did the danger surrounding him. In January 1992, while performing on stage, an armed man rushed toward him. Instead of fleeing, Chalino pulled his own gun, and a shootout ensued. The attacker died, 10 people in the audience were injured, and Chalino himself was shot, but survived. Just 5 months later, he took the stage in Culiacan, unaware that this concert would be his last. Mid-performance, someone handed him a note. Footage shows him reading it, his face growing pale. He begins sweating, scanning the crowd nervously before continuing the show. The message on the note was chilling. "We are going to kill you after this performance." Despite knowing the threat was real, Chalino performed until the very end. Hours later, as he left the venue, armed men posing as police officers intercepted his car. He was kidnapped and executed. His body found the next day with a gunshot wound to the back of his head. His murder remains unsolved. The powerful forces he sang about may have silenced him, but they couldn't erase his legacy. Chalino Sanchez's music still lives on, a haunting reminder of the world he came from and the fate that ultimately claimed him. That's all for this video. We hope you have found this video informative and interesting. Which story shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments section. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon for more interesting videos like this. Thank you for watching our video.